congruence in our activities. Okay. So first things first, we connect to what drives us. Now, most agents do not know what drives them. And I think the biggest problem is they haven't stopped to think about it all that much. But today, if everybody on this call who is not connected to their big why or their big driving force, this is something that is going to get your feet on the floor every morning with purpose and intention. And really, you're fired up with it, right? So your connection to what drives you is going to be probably the single most important factor that's going to keep you disciplined to running a dollar productive schedule every day. Okay. And so what you're doing here is think about this, right? So we're using social media to put leads into our pipeline. Okay. We're also using social to connect more with our sphere of influence. So social media is a great way to stay connected with your sphere of influence and to really activate your sphere of influence to do business with you. Oh my gosh, look how busy Courtney is. Wow. Like she's a professional, humble, hustling real estate agent. She's going to do big things. As soon as I come across somebody at work or at church or in the grocery store that needs to buy or sell or invest, I'm going to send them to Courtney. Okay. So social media is a conversation starter. All right. And then we spend a great deal of our day, I would say minimum 1 hour. Most of you know full well, Trey, i.e. Blake, i.e. Susan, i.e. Todd. I mean, most of y'all on here are spending 2+ hours a day on the telephone. You know how important that is, but it all comes full circle. So you have this, you're not going to give yourself permission to succumb to the excuses because you're connected to what drives you. Okay. Then you are, if you're connected, truly connected to what drives you, then you're going to just relentlessly, like you protect your schedule like your life depends on it. And let's note this, your life does not depend on it, but your ability to live a big life, a life on your own terms by your own design, 100% depends on it. Okay. So many of y'all, you're doing okay, right? Everything's okay. I mean, you're not starving to death, but there's things that you want. There's things that you want to experience. And more importantly, I know for a fact that there's going to be things in life, things that you can't see yet that are on the horizon that you're going to need money in order to solve that problem, to get yourself out of a jam, for you to get through the kind of the rainy days that are ahead, whatever the case may be. Could be a family member falls ill, they're not able to work, they need some supplemental income. There's a lot of good that can come from this money. But what I'm talking about is security, okay? The security of it. So does anybody kind of see that? Like where that comes into play, like how important mindset is? Because, some of you and many of your colleagues in the real estate industry are still wrestling with the fact that they're not experiencing the results they want in the real estate business by trying to reinvent the wheel, by trying to outsmart the industry to in such a way that allows them to circumvent the fundamentals of the industry. So let's think about this. So JC's on the call. JC, I don't know if this is your first call, but if it is, know this, right? So your job as a real estate agent, your job description is to talk to people. So your job description is to talk to as many people per day as possible over the phone, in person, at the grocery store, at the car wash. I don't care where, at the ball field, during the kids' practices. I don't care where you're at. You're always on. You're always interviewing people. They're always interviewing you. That's like this intentional congruence of what we do. Whenever we're living, we're still working, and we're working, we're still living. And all we need to start doing is documenting that on social media. Start documenting what we're doing, what we're experiencing, what we're owning, and how we're making that stuff happen. How we're able to live this big life because we are very intentional and purposeful in which by which we serve people. Okay. And we're dedicated to serving people. But hear this. Okay. If you're dedicated to serving people, it means you're dedicating to locating, to identifying the people in the communities that you serve that need help. Okay. They're not going to come to you. All right. Let me give you an example using myself. Okay. Use myself as an example. So I have been guilty over the last several years of relying on our agents to reach out to me if they want to talk. Okay. If they want coaching and training, they either need to show up to my events, they need to press play on my videos, they need to call or text me, they need to use my Calendly link to schedule time with me. And I don't know what my train of thought was on this, like whether people just didn't need me all that much, or whether I had permission to get in their own into their lane and start really being proactive with reaching out to them about coaching and training. But that's what I figured out. It's no different. Like running a brokerage, recruiting, all the things that I do is no different than what you guys are tasked with every day. Like follow-up, like being proactive and not reactive. All the things I'm asking you guys to do with your leads and with your sphere of influence are things I should have been doing for years now. And I think if I'd been doing that, I would be like JPAR would be way further along in all the marketplaces that we're in, because I would have been more proactive, not reactive. I can't just expect to put a Facebook ad out there and have somebody contact me to buy a house. Okay, these are just conversation starters. I want to deploy every conversation starter I can. Okay, now for Todd, all right. So Todd, I'm going to start getting with you on marketing. You know you need to work on marketing. You know you need to get to learn how to be a better marketer. And I'll go back to this kind of gut bunching quote that I like to, like to fire off at you guys, which is, if you're not good at marketing yourself, why in the heck would I hire you to market and sell my home? So think about that. There's all these reasons, like really profitable reasons to improve your social media presence. Now,
hey, Jason, can I say something to that?
I would love it if you say something.
Okay. So, I try to do social a lot, but this weekend I had an owner of an appliance company reach out to me and say, I've been hearing your name in the real estate world. I'd really love to do a video at one of my stores with you, towards your audience and mine. So we're going to do that this week.
Okay. That's called reverse prospecting. Okay. So imagine right now what we want to do, okay, is, so Aaron, your content has activated a business owner, which just means motivated a business owner to reach out to you. And think about this, like when I started doing this in like 2010, I can't remember, like whenever Facebook Live got to be a thing and I started doing this, like business owners weren't sold on the fact that social media was a very viable marketing platform. They most certainly didn't want to get on video, and they sure as HE double hockey sticks didn't want to go Facebook Live. But imagine what your world would look like if you were both prospecting and reverse prospecting. So prospecting means that you're proactively calling people on a daily basis. And so what we recommend is that you do this 5 days a week at a minimum for an hour a day. Okay. And I only say an hour a day because, many of our fellow team members, they may get an hour on Monday, but they're missing Tuesday, right? So why did they miss Tuesday? Kid got sick. Buyer came in town from out of nowhere, wanted to see something. Some appliance guy called us out of the blue and wants to do a video this afternoon. And so we got to rearrange our schedule. The key is when you erase anything from your schedule, you need to replace it. But many of us just don't do that because just life is just full of distractions. So we may get an hour in Monday, 2 hours on Wednesday, 1 hour on Thursday, and then Friday rolls around. We're like, ugh, I've had such a long week. I'm going to take a break today. So it's just not consistent. But imagine your life and the opportunities that you have in front of you if you're focused on creating content that creates a reverse prospecting lead channel, but at the same time, you are like power prospecting with your telephones. I want to go mention this too. Okay, so where I was talking to Todd just about the basics, right? So Todd ain't going to nobody's place of business to make a video. We need to start with photos with Todd. Okay, just start with photos that he's taken, selfies, photos that match his specialization, photos that showcase his process, photos that showcase life at JPAR, all these things, photos that showcase, his love of fitness. I mean, Todd could start putting out a daily or weekly, probably weekly fitness tip. And it's a picture of him at Gold's Gym. I'm imagining with like this tank top on from like 1975. Maybe Todd, I think maybe just shave the goatee. We're just going to go straight. Let's go. Should we go straight mustache or straight handlebar mustache?
No, we're going to stay right where it is. Thank you, though.
All right, but listen. But what I'm saying is, Todd, is channeling your inner badass. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
Because right now you're a kept man. Like your wife's making all the money and you're like the houseboy, right?
Pretty much.
And, in your off time, you're cleaning your musket and working out. Okay. There's a bigger life. There's a bigger life in store for you. And we're going to make that happen.
I'm ready. Okay.
But there's also simple things like conversation starters, like wearing your name badge, putting car magnets on your car. Well, a lot of cars aren't magnetic anymore. So you'll see agents going with, vinyl decals on their windows so that when they're pumping gas or they're getting fast food, somebody in line or somebody working the window might say, hey, I'm thinking about buying a house. Do you have a card? It's about conversations. It's about talking to as many people as possible and reaching out to them and going, hey, you got time for coffee? You got time for a phone call? Hey, I'm going to follow up with you next week to hear how your vacation went. We really need to, I feel like, hammer this home so that we leave this call today knowing that every day, we need to be focused on having at least 10 conversations a day. And if we have 8 today, we need to get 2 more tomorrow so that we look at a number, a set number that we want to have every single week. Okay. And we're tracking and we're measuring these numbers. Okay. So can anybody tell me just real quick, why is it important I'm going to ask 2 questions. Okay. Why is it important to, number 1, nurture a database? Number 2, why is it important to track and measure? So number 1, can anybody answer for me? What is the benefit from nurturing a database? And the second question is, what is the benefit of tracking and measuring your prospecting numbers? Anybody got an answer for me on that? Don't all try to speak at once, okay? We're not in a rush here. Nobody knows? Anybody? Bueller?
The tracking's to see what works so you can readjust if you don't. And the nurturing's for multiple reasons.
Okay. So let's break down what Blake just said, okay? There are multiple reasons he's correct. There's one common denominator, and that's profit, okay? That's profitability. So the agents that nurture their databases. So nurturing a database means this, okay? Everybody all right, so JC, listen up. Everybody is going to go in your database. You're going to manually enter everybody that you know, okay? That's one. Then you're going to add everybody that you meet from networking and volunteering events. Okay. And so if you just heard that and you go, holy crap, I'm not volunteering or doing any type of networking, that's a problem. Okay. So everybody we talk to, everybody we meet, everybody that is in our SOI, we're going to put all these people in there. So we're going to have inbound leads that are going to come from content that we're creating. We're going to have inbound leads that the team's going to provide. We're going to add our sphere of influence. We're going to add everybody we meet at networking and volunteer events and at the grocery store and at the wife's companies, like work business party, a birthday party, whatever. You're adding all these people in there, and then you're systematically touching them, which means you're reaching out to them at least once a quarter for a phone call. You got some email stuff that's going out. You send them a text here and there. You're staying in touch with them through birthday cards, anniversary cards, Christmas cards. That's what nurturing a database looks like. So NAR has tracked the data on this, and they have determined that agents that do that are building, fostering, nurturing, like loving on their databases to the point where they are continually building and nurturing deep relationships with inside that database, they make 60% more than agents that don't. Okay. Agents that track and measure make on average $120,000 more than agents that don't. Okay. So here's the thing. You guys would be, in a really good place mentally if you made peace with the fact that Blake, Amber, myself, your brokers, nobody's going to ask you to do anything that's not going to make you more money. Okay. And this is not about a greed situation or an ego thing. This goes down to the principal fact that profit feeds the family. Okay. Profit feeds the family. That's like basic primal need stuff. But it also provides us with the authority to design a life that is lived on our own terms, where we don't have to, we're not at the mercy of anybody else. We can decide, we want to move, we move. We want to go see this place, we go see this place. Like I want to go see, I'm taking Blake with me, he doesn't know this yet, but Blake and I are going to Ukraine after the war stops, okay? And we're going to go mine hunting, all right? Sound good, Blake? You in? All right. Now, whenever this war is over, I'm just going to buy a plane ticket and go, okay? And Blake's going to buy his plane ticket. Right, Blake?
I guess.
Listen, I'm joking, but you guys know what I mean, right? It's like when something comes up, I mean, it could be as trivial as your car needing 4 tires. Like Keith's on the road all the time. He drives for Uber and stuff to make extra money, which is a great idea for anybody else that's on the call that wants a little bit more flexibility, but also wants to make money. I'm sure Keith would talk to you about the pros and cons of that. But that's the thing. And there you go. So Keith has an opportunity to have a conversation when everybody gets in his car throughout the day. We're playing the conversation game. But I want you guys to be able to create lives worth living and businesses worth owning. I want you to be able to go to the grocery store, not on a budget, but you're going there to get whatever the heck you want. You want to get snow crab legs? You want to drop $100 on snow crab legs? You earned it, okay? And stop telling yourself, oh, that's not an irresponsible expense. All right? This is hard work that you guys do. This is the hardest profession in the sales industry, in my opinion. Okay? And so we need to celebrate every win. All right. Anybody got any questions so far about what I've been rambling on about? Okay. While we're waiting on somebody to think about a question, I want somebody, Todd, to have the courage to speak up and tell me, is there fear? Is there anxiety? Is it just because it's not top of mind? What's keeping you from picking up this device and documenting your day? Okay, because Todd, let's think about this. So consistently, you're up at 5:30 every morning, saluting the flag, saying the Pledge of Allegiance, like any good, Civil War soldier would do. You're in the gym. You're in the gym by what, 6:30 every day?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. And if you're not in the gym, you're doing some sort of exercise. You're getting your body moving in some way.
Yeah.
And then what time do you get in the office every day?
Try to be there at 8:30.
Okay. So there's some things like through just that morning routine that we could find to document. Okay.
Yeah.
But what is it just for you? Like, are you thinking about taking some pictures and documenting your day? Or here's what I find with most people. They just like, it's not high on their priority list. They're like, when they walk into a situation that showcases the lifestyle of their community or the importance of physical fitness, or they could be just sitting in silence in the morning doing a devotional or reading a very inspirational, self-help book with a powerful quote, and they read that quote and they go, golly, that's good. But it doesn't cross their mind that this is something they should share with the world and share why that quote spoke to them. Can you, Todd Baker, tell me when these things happen to you, when your wife does something that reminds you why you love her so much, why not document that moment and shower her with some public, acknowledge her publicly for speaking your love language? Why aren't you doing that, Todd?
That's a good idea. That's a very good idea. I've never been one to promote myself ever. And I never think about that. But, what you just said, though, makes a lot of sense.
What can we do? And you're not coming from a place, you're not coming from an industry. Like Susan's boss is not telling her, hey, Susan, I want you to take pictures of yourself, every 15 minutes at work and post those on social media. That's not part of her job description. It is now. All right. Uber does not require Keith to take a bunch of pictures of him driving around Birmingham. Okay. But that doesn't say, I know Keith drive in his car all day, every day. The people that he meets, he probably meets some really interesting people. He probably sees a lot of stuff that a lot of us don't see because we spend more time behind our computers than he does. But so I get it, right? This is something that's new, but you guys have to understand that this is not going to become top of mind unless you get very intentional about making it so. So this would mean you're going to have to start reminding yourself, like talking to yourself. Some of you may need to put calendar reminders on your phone, like notifications on your phone to go, hey, take some pictures today, make a post today. What I would like to see you guys do is for this to get so top of mind that you fill your phone, your photos app with pictures and video clips. Like at any given moment, there's just tons of stuff on here for me to choose from when I get ready to make a post. And the reason I post more than I should is because I document so much and I feel like I have so much valuable content on my phone that I literally can't wait to share it. And sometimes I share it at inopportune times, or I make too many posts at once because I just can't contain my excitement for how valuable this content is. And then I get validation from you guys that follow me going, great post. I needed to hear that today. People reach out to me, whether they're posting or making public comments. Some of you all out in the metaverse are messaging me privately going, man, keep it up. Keep it up. We were on a JPAR coaching call before I got on this with some of my other franchise owners. And I was talking about how exhausting it is, all the stuff I've got going, right? So I'm doing video, blogs, podcasts, posts, reels, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. Google my business. It's nonstop. it does get a little exhausting. But I was just kind of venting with some folks this morning on the call. Just like, yeah, it does get a little bit exhausting, because I'm not asking you guys to do it at my level, right? I'm hooked on it, right? I'm totally bought in. I know that it works. I know that I'm having an impact on people, and I'm on fire for it. Not asking you guys to do that. I'm just asking you to have the presence of mind to pick up your phone and start telling the story of, take people on your journey. Like Todd has made a commitment. Come hell or high water, he's going to be a successful real estate agent. He hadn't had a closing. He's been doing this how long, Todd? Todd just went to the bathroom. Okay, he does that,
Nope.
right?
Yeah, I get older.
He's got to pee a lot.
I got my license last April. I got on the team in the end of September.
All right. So, and he got his world rocked by COVID. He's from Missouri. He doesn't have a sphere of influence. He's not a local guy. So he's having to start literally as ground floor as you can get is where Todd's at. And so think about this. 87, I even think we're going to start really ticking up into the 90% range and above on how many agents are not going to succeed. But most agents who have been in the business as long as Todd has, without a result, are quitting. Okay. So think about that. Trey Steele, number one agent in the company in terms of sales volume last month. So we're in May. Did the May numbers just come out? I can't remember. But he was on there, right? Also an agent who probably shouldn't have made it in this industry. Probably should have thrown in the towel a long time ago and gone back to the real world. But is on a trajectory now to be one of the top agents in Baldwin County. And that's something that Blake has said from the jump. Trey's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Just wait and see. Okay. We believe that same thing to be true about Todd. I think the fact that Todd is such a fighter, has no quit in him, is faced with adversity every single day, and yet shows up day in and day out. That's a journey I want to see unfold on social media. You know, does that resonate with anybody? I mean, Trey's journey of, you know, coming into this business with zero experience, zero expectations, for as long as it took for him to close a deal, all the way up to now when he's closing, you know, well, he's really becoming a listing agent, right? He's becoming a listing specialist. That's a journey we should have seen unfold on social. We should have been granted that esteemed pleasure of watching this journey unfold. But it's never too late to start telling the story. And from what I know, Trey is going to be going on a podcast soon with one of his friends, has a fairly popular podcast. He has an opportunity to tell that story. I've already set the tone with the guy. I got a chance to talk to him because he's thinking about getting his real estate license. And I was like, look, here's what you need to know about Trey. Here's what you need to know about his journey. Here's what you need to know about where he came from and where he is now. Get him to tell that story. Get him to tell it authentically and honestly. And hopefully this is going to start a pattern where Trey gets a lot of validation from being vulnerable, authentic, honest, totally transparent on this podcast, tells the story of, you know, his journey from barely keeping it, like treading water, to kicking butt. All right. Treading water to kicking butt. That's what they ought to title this podcast, Trey. Treading water, from going from treading water in real estate to kicking butt. That's what a lot of you all need to be doing. Okay. Susan and I went on a FSBO appointment last week. This is a FSBO. It's like the prime, like they're the poster child for sale by owners that need real estate agents. No curb appeal. The house was dirty. There were repairs that needed to be made. You could tell they went to like little to no effort to prepare this home for market at all. And it was, at that time, it was 35 days on market. It's pushing over, it's over 40 now. It's well beyond the days on market for the area that it's in. There is a post that Susan could have made and still could make about the fact that there are for sale by owners that are still out there. Okay. There are for sale by owners that need our help, whether they know it or not, they need our help. Okay. And I just couldn't think of a better example than these folks. And so what were they doing wrong? There's so many things she could talk about, like what were they doing wrong? Okay. Give you an example, just one thing, and then I'm going to open it up again for questions. But these folks, these sellers were stashing a key for realtors just to go and show the house. Just to go and show the house. So they were never there. They're certainly not getting any feedback from these showings. They're not there to see anything. I was pointing out some stuff as Susan and I walked through the house. You could see the seller like looking suspiciously at us, like, what are they finding? What are they seeing? What are they talking about? Things you should have fixed before you put the home on the market. And I even asked her during the appointment, you can ask Susan, I was like, have you ever heard the phrase, you never get a second chance at a first impression? So there you go. I mean, there's so many opportunities for feedback. So I'm meeting with Courtney this week, as I mentioned, to do some social media training. A big part of our process is going to be, what are you doing the rest of this week? What'd you do last week? What are you doing tomorrow? So I can just say, hey, what does your days and weeks look like, where I can start pointing out some content opportunities. And I could do the same thing with any of y'all. Okay. But at the same time, you guys need to take some personal responsibility. Okay. As to why you're not implementing things as fast as you need to be. And so here's an opportunity, JC, for you to turn your ears on and hear this. The most influential quote that I've ever written down at a real estate training event was this: success favors speed of implementation. And yet there's so many folks in the real estate industry, but especially here on this team, I can point out a couple, even really on this call, that in terms of implementation, it is slow going, if it's even going at all. Okay. Todd and I talked about him getting involved at the Legion. This was several Sundays ago. Okay. I don't know if he's been once, and he may have, but I just haven't seen it because he hasn't documented it. But that would be networking and volunteering. You kill two birds in one stone, because he called the Legion and go, hey, y'all need volunteers? I'm there every Sunday. I'll pick up trash. I'll help work the grill. I'll help make the plates. I'll do whatever needs to be done. I'll do some bar backing, whatever. And then he's networking and volunteering. Okay. But that's just one example of many that I could point out of things that just don't seem to be getting done. And social media is one of those ones that should be at the top of your list. I'm not saying, and here's the slippery slope, and then I swear to God, I'm gonna open up for questions. But here's the slippery slope, is that most agents want to lean on social media too much because it's easy. For some agents, it's a way more passive activity than picking up the phone and making their dials. So what I'm telling you to do is just document yourself making the dials, because the dials are going to lead to appointments. The dials are going to lead to research projects. The dials are going to lead to you self-discovering problems. The research is going to lead you to learning things about the real estate process and the industry that you didn't know about, that other people could benefit from knowing as well. So you can just kind of hopefully see, which I start out talking about in this call, the congruency of this process. So if you're doing it right, everything feeds everything. If you're living, you're working, you're living. That's one of my favorite things about this industry, is that it doesn't feel like work to me. All right. We've got a little bit of time left. I'll reserve it for Q&A. If you got it, bring it on. Let's hear it. Everybody good? We good? Bueller? All right. Blake, nothing? Now listen, I'm going to leave you with this. If something's holding you back, like you just don't feel comfortable commenting or asking questions on these calls, just text me. Just shoot me a text and go, hey, I had this question on the call. I didn't really feel comfortable asking it, but here it goes. All right. And let's start getting there. All right. Now, last thing I'm going to leave you with is accountability. Okay. It's an accountability call for you guys to hold each other more personally accountable. Okay. That should be a huge value proposition on this team. So if Todd knows that Aaron isn't getting her dials in, and Aaron knows that Todd hasn't posted anything on social media during that day or that week for that matter, they're getting on each other, going, hey, they're not getting on each other. They're encouraging each other to run the plays that work. Okay. If you guys know that one of your team members has not chosen a specialization yet, they're not running their business like a business and adhering it strictly to a schedule, that they're going, hey man, Trey, you really need to work on your schedule. Whatever it is, you guys are around each other enough to know the things you're doing right, the things you're doing wrong, and the things you're just not doing, but you know that you need to. And it's never going to work if this accountability is always on my shoulders to deliver, because I hope many of you have heard me say this, like really true effective leadership is not top down, it's bottom up.